So I've been doing a lot of thinking um, during my trip and spending a lot of time just away from home and being somewhere new and having a lot of time to do a lot of self reflection. And it's having more of an introverted lifestyle and not being super interested in being in big groups of people or going out and doing big group functions or joining clubs and going out and doing stuff. I've been that way pretty much my whole life, and something I've learned over time, especially as you get older, is it's not as enjoyable the older you get, at least for me. There are times where it would be nice to at least have one person with you, especially when I was over in Hawaii. It was hard when you see so many people there as couples and them having fun together, and going out and doing things together. And while I've been in a few relationships in my life, long term relationships, and I've enjoyed those a great deal, I've also really appreciated like a solo style life where you can go and do what you want when you want, and you can kind of, it's all up to you, you know? You can go and explore the world on your own and be your own person. And did that for 25, 30 years. And it wasn't really that bad. I actually got to do a lot of things that I don't regret doing. I don't have very many times where I look back and thought that it would have been better with a group of people or with a big group of friends or with a club or something like that. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that sometimes it would just be nice to have your person with you. And even though you do sacrifice a lot of that freedom that I'm talking about, well, maybe not a lot, you do sacrifice that freedom that I'm talking about, you do gain someone else to share the experience that you're having with. And you also have someone else who has their own things that they want to do and their own adventures that they can take you on, things that you never would have thought of doing. So that does get a little bit more apparent the older you get. So I'm not sure if it always hits when you get around 30 or 35, or if it hits everyone, or maybe some people they're just completely fine being on their own their whole life. But for me, what I've noticed is it's starting to set in where it would be nice to actually have someone to go and do things with. Not all the time, because that's the other side of the coin is you don't always have to be with that other person. You can both live your own lives and you can both go do your own things on your own, but then you always have your person that you're there with. And I think part of the difficulty nowadays is finding a person like that actually vibes with what you're looking for in a way that you guys can both coexist and enjoy each other's companies and each other's journeys as well. Another thing that I was thinking about is it's a lot harder to grow as a person when you're trying to do it on your own, because you can only be so objective about who you are, what your faults are, and maybe new perspectives that you just can't see because you're only seeing it through your lens. And that is something that having a companion or a partner that's along for the ride with you, which this life is a crazy ride, right? Um, I feel like that has a lot of benefits that outweigh any negatives of that true feeling of personal solo freedom. Um, and this became very apparent to me when I was on my vacation that there'd be a lot of times where I would just be out exploring with no real plan or agenda or mission in mind, but there would be some cool stuff I would see or some cool things I would go do. And while I don't regret doing them, I think it would have been a little more magical, not to sound corny, to have someone else there with you or someone to tell about it. And it's not that I don't have family and friends and such, but like that true one partner, you know? And I didn't know if anyone else was feeling that way, but it was weighing on my mind, especially on the flight back, um, how few people I saw that were riding life solo. Um, not being someone who hasn't seen that side of like the coin where they're always with someone and they're always with a partner. I don't know if they feel the same way in the opposite direction. Like if they wonder if they'd be happier if they were riding life solo and maybe they're seeing negatives in the way that they're living their life, or if they're completely happy. But all in all, that's just something that was sitting on my mind, and I just wanted to share that.